Saturday, one of my friends was injured in the terrorist car attack. They in turn witnessed the screaming, crying, and bloodshed of their more severely injured friends. Multiple people I know had to scream at law enforcement on the ground and in armored vehicles to move out of the way so that the one ambulance they called for 19 people could come through. My friends told me the cops laughed when they asked them to make room. Volunteer medics from different Antifa organizations were the primary source of first response medical aid because of this. One of my friends helped escort victims to the hospital while wearing a helmet and used a shield homemade from a chunk of wood to keep away Nazis. My friend defending victims from Nazis is Jewish and LGBT. All of my friends who helped defend Charlottesville were LGBT, and most of them were Black. These groups are some of the most targeted by Nazis, and yet they are equated with Nazis. They are maligned as violent. Heather Heyer was a socialist and a member of the organization Industrial Workers of the World. She and many other victims were on Water Street after responding to a call to chase out white supremacists who were attempting home invasions in a predominantly Black neighborhood. If she hadn't been killed and if she wasn't white, Heather Heyer would be called a terrorist too, even though all she did was fulfill the responsibilities law enforcement abandoned and yet still get credit for. Neither Heather's family nor any of my friends in various Antifa organizations has received a police officer's salary despite doing their jobs for them. Nor did they receive any donations from George Soros. In fact, they had to pay with their own money to drive to Charlottesville, to find lodging in Charlottesville, to get assaulted in Charlottesville. Many, including people in my social circles, are still in the hospital with no way to pay their medical bills. Black people's GoFundMes don't open white wallets very fast, which is why healthcare is not a separate issue from racial injustice. Black people's employers systematically give them less money to treat medical conditions. Systemically, Black people have more instances of disease due to the long-term stress of living in a racist society. Black patients are perceived by doctors, according to verified studies, doctors perceive that Black patients feel less pain than their white counterparts. LGBT people of color need doctors with medical knowledge and sensitivity training to treat them, and there's no institutional way to guarantee that currently in Virginia. All institutions are failing Virginians of color. I went to a vigil for Heather Heyer last Sunday. Not the one where elected Democrats with blood on their hands led a Love Me, I'm a Liberal sing-along to a crowd of people who defended the ACLU's enabling days before. No, I went to the Richmond vigil where the heroes of Charlottesville were. You know who they are? Someone my age with a chronic illness who talked about getting a concussion and police laughing in her face. I heard multiple people who hadn't slept for 48 hours talk about the media shoving their cameras inches from the faces of people bleeding on the ground. An hour after they had recounted these horrors, these traumatized people still bravely marched to protest Monument Avenue. They were called violent for that. My friends are called terrorists and martyrs in the same breath by people who would rather bully the traumatized than accept the nuanced reality of what violence and love really mean. Violence is victim blaming people who don't have the option to vote for someone who understands their needs and then doing nothing to stop racist voter suppression. Violence is being anti-gun, but accepting, well, neo-Nazis had better weapons, so what could we do? As a valid excuse for why the power of the Commonwealth did less than a bunch of college students in the face of clear danger. Violence is white people neglecting to use the current momentum to force Virginia to ban military-grade weapons, to redraw racist district lines, and to institute automatic voter registration statewide. Thank you, Allie. Forcing 20-somethings with chronic illness and black skin to stand up to Nazis alone because healthy white adults would rather stay home eating sheet cake is violence. If my anger seems unproductive, let me remind you that love requires action. If you don't defend what you love from harm, that's not sufficient love. If you don't defend someone else from harm, it makes you a bully. Unite the Right is, to make a huge understatement, a group of bullies. The police system is an institution that bullies black people to death by design. Calling the need